If you've spent decades building a life, the career, the credentials, the respect, but have a secret that threatens it all, this video is for you. From the outside, everything looks fine. But when the sun goes down and the house gets quiet, you're trapped in a loop. Sincere promises in the morning. Today will be different, only a couple glasses of wine. But somehow, your resolve falters. You awaken to regret and more promises, and a growing fear that you're running out of options. You've searched for that secret sauce, switching from alcohol to wine, setting rules, researching control strategies, always telling yourself this time will be different, and yet somehow you always end up back in the same place. I know that loop because I lived it. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. I practiced medicine for 40 years and I've been sober for the last 27. If you do the math, that means the first dozen years of my medical career were spent losing a private war with alcohol, while I treated patients whose lives were being destroyed by the very thing I couldn't stop using myself. The irony wasn't lost on me, but knowledge, discipline, and good intentions weren't enough. Today, I want to talk to you about something that sounds impossible when you're in the middle of it. The idea that having alcoholism, the worst thing that could ever happen to you, may also be the thing that saves your life. For years, I believed I could outsmart alcohol. I was a physician, disciplined, skilled, analytical. Surely I could figure out a way to drink like other people. So I tried everything except stopping. Boundaries, switching substances, carefully engineered rules. Each attempt was sincere, each promise heartfelt, each failure more frustrating than the last. I was stuck in that endless loop of effort, disappointment, and regret. And here's what took me far too long to understand. For people like me, control is an illusion, an exhausting one. But here's the thing. There is no wasted time, only experience. And those painful years were teaching me something. I just wasn't ready to hear it yet. Change wasn't a punishment. It was a requirement. Many of you watching this are what we call high functioning. You haven't lost the job yet. Your spouse hasn't left yet. Your health hasn't collapsed yet. You think you're managing the heat. I thought so too, until a perfect storm of consequences broke through my denial. I wasn't led gently into sobriety. I was dragged there, kicking and screaming, by wreckage of my own making. My laundry list included divorce, financial ruin, loss of my job and professional standing, and loss of respect by people who genuinely cared about me. I felt exposed, humiliated, broken. At the time, total abstinence felt extreme, something I'd endure only until the heat died down. But slowly, I came to understand that those disasters were the greatest gifts I'd ever receive. How can I say that? Because those catastrophes proved two things, irrefutably. First, things had to change. And second, and this is harder to accept, my way of trying to change had failed completely. Every strategy, every technique, every attempt to control. These consequences were the only thing loud enough to drown out the voice of my addiction. My journey didn't begin as a noble quest for self-improvement. It began as an attempt to escape catastrophe. And because I was a physician, my abstinence was enforced. My bodily fluids were tested. My behavior scrutinized. At first, I stayed sober out of fear of setting the clock back to zero and reliving those consequences. Fear is a powerful motivator, but it's not a cure. Here's something I noticed early in recovery. Most people stayed sober just long enough to get their lives back. And once they did, they drank again. I did too. Once my job returned, my relationship stabilized, my money came back, and my body stopped punishing me, I picked up again. The difference was this: I was still being watched. People who cared about me called it out immediately, and I was given a rare opportunity to start again without having to start again. That relapse taught me the most important lesson of my second act. Abstinence alone is not the answer. Stopping the drinking clears the ground. It does not build the house. This is where the real work began. I stopped relying on good intentions and started taking different actions. Not dramatic ones, simple ones. At those daily turning points of my life where I had to decide whether I would do this or do that, I began to change. Instead of wrestling with a problem alone, I decided to talk with someone who understood. When boredom or restlessness crept in, I got up and began to move my body. When I was frustrated or angry, would I sit with those emotions, or would I do something? Do the dishes, make a call, or would I let the pressure build? I did these things without believing they would work. I didn't feel inspired and I didn't feel confident. I just acted because I knew I needed to do something different. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, something changed. I began to build a life that made my old reasons for drinking irrelevant. I wasn't just not drinking. I was becoming someone else. 3 decades later, I'm no longer running away from alcohol. I'm running toward an authentic life. A life where my decisions aren't shackled to a substance, where joy and pain are real, not chemically managed, where I'm free to become who I always was supposed to be. That freedom comes with responsibility. It means replacing vague intentions with daily action. But here's the truth. Giving up drinking doesn't mean giving up anything real. It means opening the door to the life you deserve. If your consequences are mounting, pay attention. They don't stay isolated. They compound. Even if you haven't had a DUI, a divorce, a public collapse, every night where you drink more than you know you should is a consequence. Freedom from chemicals is not a theory. It's a fact, proven by millions of us who once stood exactly where you are. If you're not ready to stop, at least study the evidence. And if you've already started your journey, understand this. You may have begun your journey, but you haven't reached the destination until you allow yourself to build a truly new life. If you're wondering if your drinking is still under control, I urge you to click the link in the description below and download my CCBBAA checklist. The purpose of this is to help you decide whether your drinking is rational or irrational. Armed with this information, it becomes easier to make the next right decision. Also, please subscribe, like, and please comment on the video. I read all the comments and I will respond. If you have a question, ask it. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.